Choice Home Care and Hospice present Choices to Benefit the Aging with your host, Joe Urrutia.
Welcome to Choices to Benefit the Aging. I'm Joe Urrutia, Community Senior Service Consultant for Choice Hospice and Home Health. Today's guest is Aurora Carrillo, Director of Sales and Marketing for Royal Estates of El Paso Assisted and Independent Living. Welcome to our program.
That's correct. Thank
Aurora.
you, Joe. Thank you for having me here today.
Welcome, Aurora. Aurora, how long has Royal Estates been providing services to our seniors in El Paso?
Well, really quickly, Joe, it is a senior lifestyle community. Our corporation is out of Chicago, and we have been servicing seniors in El Paso for the last 12 years.
Where are you located?
We're located on Mesa Hills. It's
On the west side?
435 South Mesa Hills on the west side. If you're coming from the freeway, you would exit Sunland Park, and if you're you can also take Mesa and then turn on Mesa Hills.
Mesa Hills.
Mm-hmm.
What is the difference between independent and assisted living? And that's a question that I'm sure a lot of families ask you. And how do you determine that?
Well, that is true. We do get asked that question often because a lot of times when we have families coming to find out more about our community, they assume that their loved one is in need of assisted living. And sometimes all they need help with is preparing their meals or some housekeeping. And so there is a difference. We are a community that has both independent and assisted living. In both independent and assisted, you will find that we have apartments in which our residents live in independently. The biggest difference is that in assisted living, we have staff that provides care to our residents, which is contrary to what we offer in independent living.
And what type of service do you provide in the assisted living?
Well, we have...
Would medication management be one? If a family member is not taking their medications and being non-compliant, would your staff be able to help them?
Yes, absolutely.
What else?
We have a med tech that does dispense medication daily. We do have our nurse, who is the director in our assisted living side of the building.
Is she an RN or an LVN?
She is an RN, and she's basically supervising everything that happens with that resident and making sure that all of the residents' needs are met, and that at any time, if there's any changes, that we are able to identify them and then make sure that we are providing the care that the resident needs.
So your nurse at Royal Estates and the physician work together with some kind of plan of care to get this patient feeling better.
Yes.
and cooperating with their medications, right? Do you allow home health agencies and hospice to come into your facility since this is their home? Is that allowable?
Mm-hmm. Yes, this is their home. And when there is a prospect who is looking into assisted living, sometimes they also feel like, if I go to assisted living, will I lose my nurse that I am so attached to and that I love from the agency that
has been providing
services at my home? And that is not so. We do welcome home health agencies into our community, as well as hospice.
So you want to continue providing a good quality of life through healthcare and using the different resources for your seniors.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Mm-hmm, that's correct.
Independent living. Mm-hmm. What is independent living? Who would benefit out of independent living?
You know, Joe, it's there's always that question of how soon should I think about moving into independent living? And I can tell you that it almost seems like it's never soon enough, because once someone has moved in, 2 to 3 months later, they come back to me and say, Aurora, you know, I really wish I had done this sooner, because they have made a lot of changes their lifestyle is certainly changed, but they're all in a very positive way. You know, they have stopped caring for that home, you know, that sometimes without realizing has become overwhelming, and that, you know, they take so much time to make sure that everything is well at that house.
The maintenance,
that
the
they
gardening.
lose the maintenance, the gardening, anything, the roof, anything goes wrong. What happens? They're stressed about who's going to come and fix this for me because I can't. And so the fact that they don't have to deal with all these things is wonderful, because then they can look more into, well, what things are out there that I can do for fun for me and not this home.
And I really think that they save a lot more moving into these type of communities, don't you think so? Because a lot of the money that's going into the maintenance of their home and the upkeeping,
Taxes.
Taxes,
Yes.
Go into just the house, where it could all be turned around and utilized for their well-being and their health. Is that safe to say, Aurora?
Yes, definitely. There's a lot of people will tell me, Aurora, I don't think that I have the money to do this, because most people assume that independent assisted living communities are very expensive and they just can't afford it. And I always say, you know what, go home, add up all of your expenses, any utilities, gas, taxes, groceries, all those things that you know, on a month-to-month spend on, and sometimes we don't even realize how much we're really spending. And so once they've done that, I think they realize they could actually be saving. And if not, if it's right around that area where they feel like, well, it's about the same, they are able to see the value in not having to worry about dealing with that.
And they're like, I was just thinking right now, it's like being a prisoner to your own home, financially strapped to it. And even a lot of the times when you go into some of these homes, seniors, they're not handicap accessible, and they do. Their home becomes a prison. Have you found that when you're doing a home eval, or when the family wants to talk to you, that they see, my God, you know, there's a big difference living in a home that is designed for me, for a senior person, and where their home was, you know, was not. Do you see that, Aurora?
Yes, absolutely. I think the residents, when they realize how much safer it is to have a walk-in shower versus a bathtub, or the fact that we have the grab bars throughout the shower, and you know, the chances of them being hurt because of a fall or something like that, of course, are less. One other thing that I do want to mention is that we are the only community in El Paso that offers 24-hour staffing at the front desk, which of course helps our residents feel safe, you know, knowing that there's always someone there. And that there is an emergency pull cord for both, you know, those living in independent and those in assisted, that they can pull on to get help if something ever went wrong, if there was a fall, they can't breathe, something's happening that they need immediate attention. There is someone there that can come and assist them immediately.
Immediately. Quiet Care. Tell me a little bit about Quiet Care, because you had told me, is this the only facility in El Paso that has Quiet Care? Can you tell me about that?
Yes. I am a fan of Quiet Care. This has definitely added value to the services we provide, because basically what it consists of is motion sensors. And these sensors have been strategically placed in the apartments so that if there's any type of abnormal movement, our staff is alerted, and they can come and help the resident. If they had been there 5 minutes before and they get an alert that something is abnormal, they will come right back and see that resident. So there's no need for the resident to even be conscious to get the help.
If the patient has not come out of the patient, I'm sorry, and I'm going to say that they're not patients always in these communities, they're residents, and this is their home, and I apologize for that. If the resident does not come out of the room, will that monitor alarm you, or will you be able to find out if the resident has been out of the room at all? Are you checking, how frequently are you checking those monitors?
Well, this is something that I know our families, really love, because they can have that peace of mind. They do pick up patterns. So what is normal to one resident is not going to be normal to the next. Yet, if something is seen as abnormal for that resident, I'm going to give you an example, Joe. If someone has been in the bathroom for over 15 minutes, and for that person that is not normal, it could mean many things, but it's definitely reason enough to come back and see what is happening with that resident. If normally this resident wakes up at about 5 in the morning, and that this hasn't happened, that's reason to believe something is not right. And so it definitely helps our residents to be safe at all times, whether there's someone in the apartment with them or not.
And are these monitors, which is, what's the name of the monitor?
The
The
Quiet
Quiet
Care?
Care? Is it both, are they installed in the assisted and the independent living? Both of them have it?
This is a service that is provided in assisted living only.
Okay.
But keep in mind that in independent living, we still have the emergency pull cords that they can use to call for help.
Okay. What makes Royal Estates different?
Joe, I believe it's the people. You've come to our community, and I know that anytime we have somebody come through those doors, you'll find friendly people that are willing to help, not just staff, but also residents. We have different programs that you won't find anywhere else. One of them, of course, is the Quiet Care. We have another one pertaining to meals that is called Dining for Wellness. And this program is there to help our residents to live a healthier life when it comes to their food choices. I can tell you that thanks to this program, our meals are also prepared from scratch instead of just having them warmed up for our residents, which is very hard to do when you have a community that has over 100 residents. But I want to say about 95% of those meals that come out of our kitchen are prepared from scratch.
Dining for Wellness is something that you and I were talking earlier, and I was at a doctor's office this week, and there was a lady in her 80s, and her and I were talking, and she says, I've lost a lot of weight, and when you're by yourself, you just eat less, and you're not as hungry. And do you find that in the community with seniors? And you made a very good point today. Would you give us a little bit more about what we were talking about? Yes,
and it's true. It's true that, and like I mentioned before, it's true for any of us. When we're going to have a meal, I think most of us rather not have a meal on our own, or even when you're thinking about preparing a meal, you don't want to have to prepare a meal for just one person. So yes, a lot of times when people stay at their homes and they're having to cook for just themselves and eating alone, it's definitely a reason for them to not be too crazy about eating, and then of course their health starts to decline. So coming to the dining room and having one of these meals that is warm and has been prepared with a lot of love, I think,
dining with the other residents,
and dining with other residents, the socialization part of it will always help someone feel better and will help them stay healthy.
I was going to ask you, I'm going to go back to Quiet Care and memory loss.
Okay.
How can Quiet Care and memory loss, that program, help with somebody with memory loss?
I think it's a great